LA after like 11 o'clock, you don't want to move your house either direction. I'm going to see my friend Mario. He has a pizzeria in Venice off of Abbot Kinney. I met Mario a long time ago. He's from Naples originally. My grandfather was from Naples. And he came over, I think, to my grandfather's house. His wife Martha, like years and years ago, because they had pizza, and he was making pizza for a party, and I met him, and I was chatting with him, like talking to him about dough and what kind of flour he uses. Blah blah blah. He's like, I'm opening this place in Venice. He was super excited. I worked with him many times and had his pizza many times, and I think he's really brilliant. He gets the flavor profile, he gets the crust. He's family. So we're gonna go and have some pizza. You guys can meet him.
Ah, ma capito se...
Dove va?
Cosa sono queste bel cani? Si chiama Enzo. No, tipo la napoletana con l'anchovies.
Quella.
Anchovies, un po' di origano, aglio, basta.
Pasta. Red pizza with anchovies and a little oregano. And sippy meat, nothing else.
Welcome to my video kitchen. You're gonna make a nice pizza foggiata. You know, I cut out Okay, so I'm just keep going. It's my good friend Maurizio and
Hi, how are you?
he prepared the dough for today. Look at this, beautiful. This is a very nice pizza. So tomatoes, a bit of oregano, cherry tomatoes here and there, not too much. A little bit of olive oil. Over time. Those are Italian white anchovies, and we marinate in the house. They are in oil, so they're not hard. People when think about anchovies, they always think about the brown, boring, super salty anchovies, but no. Those are white anchovies, olive oil, soft, a little bit of vinegar. We actually drain and we put some more olive oil and a little bit of spice, not too much. Anchovies. Ecco qua, put olive oil. There we go. And I like to add a little bit of salt. Wow. E poi a little bit of basil here and there. Let's see what Giada's gonna put about this.
Bellissima.
È bella,
questa
è bella,
pizza.
è bella. So many beautiful pie, you don't need the cheese all the
I know,
time.
but I think people just, when they think of pizza,
Yeah,
they
they think
of
about cheese.
tomato and cheese, but in Italy we have a lot of pizzas
Yes.
that don't have cheese on them, and sometimes they can be better than the ones with the
I'm
cheese.
so agree with you. I'm so agree with
Yeah.
you.
I happen to love anchovies. Maybe
Ti
I know
piace?
not everybody does, but I grew up
Sì.
on anchovies, so I love them on my pizza.
Yeah.
Which anchovies are they?
White anchovies in olive oil from Italy. This is definitely not my mussel pizza here,
So, I know.
but I love it. I have it on the menu.
What is your most sold pizza?
Well,
Pepperoni.
pepperoni, but actually the pizza with burrata, with tomato and burrata, it's kind of margherita, it's my most sold.
Okay. Okay.
Last we left off, you were in high school.
Okay.
Now you're off to college.
So
here-
I didn't go from high school to college.
Oh. Okay, what happened after high school?
No one in my family went to college. My family really wanted me to work in the movie business and see if maybe I just go from high school into working on their movies. So I did. I worked for my Aunt Raffi. I was a coffee bitch for a while. I ran all her errands for a while, producer's assistant. Then I worked in costumes in the costume department. I did a movie named Time Bomb, and I had a small part in it. When I say I was trying all the different departments, I was trying all the different departments, including the acting department. So I just kind of moved my way around because my family was, hoping that I would find something that would inspire me and I would work in the movie business. Well, I love food, and I loved food when I was graduating from high school, but I still love food. I helped the catering department, and I was like, I want to do food. At that point, though, my parents were like, yeah, but maybe you should just go to college first. Then if you still want to be in the food business, then you go to culinary school. So after a year of working for Raffi on her movie, I applied to different schools and I started Pepperdine. Then I left Pepperdine after a year and I went to Santa Monica College.
Wait, back up. So you started at Pepperdine. Why'd you leave Pepperdine after a year?
I don't know. I wasn't a fan at the time. It's a beautiful school though. I decided, okay, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go to SMC. It's a lot cheaper and I can kind of like play around with the different class structure and the schedules and figure out what it is I want to do. So after doing Santa Monica City College for a year, I then bounced and applied to UCLA and Stanford. Stanford accepted me, but they told me I had to go back to freshman year. And I was like, oh yeah, no, I can't do that. I'm already a year and ahead of everybody, right? Because I came from Italy, so I had to repeat the first grade. So I was like, no, I can't go back. But UCLA said I could come in as a junior. So I went to UCLA, and I graduated from UCLA as an anthropology major.
When you were at SMC, did you live at home?
When I went to SMC, I lived with my brother, and then I lived with a friend of mine on the Wilshire corridor. And then I went back and lived with Dino again.
When you started UCLA, were you in the dorms?
After Pepperdine, I never lived in a dorm again. Dorm life wasn't for Jada. Because I didn't have my own bathroom, and I didn't want to share a bathroom with everybody on the floor. And my roommate at the time, too, was like, she lived in San Diego, and she had this boyfriend, and she would come in and out of the room at all hours of the night. And I was just like, I can't. It's loud. I mean, if you've never lived in a dorm, when I went to UCLA, I lived in Westwood, so I could walk to school. There's nowhere to park. So I couldn't live at home.
Which friend did you live with? Are you still friends with them?
I mean, I follow her on social media, but I don't really hang out with her anymore, but her name was Natalie. She was a fashion designer.
So when you went to UCLA, did you know for sure anthropology major?
So at Pepperdine, I started as a psych major, and then I was like, I don't want to be a psych. It's too, it was too, like, depressing. I was like, I don't want to listen to other people's problems all day long. I got my own to figure out. At SMC, I took a bunch of anthropology classes, and I started to realize, ooh, I love anthropology. The culture of human beings and how we came to be, and how the culture affects food and what we eat, the cooking, and it was fascinating, right? So that's what I decided to study.
What was college Jada like? Did you ever cook gourmet, or would you eat like a college kid?
Gourmet, I wasn't eating like foie gras or caviar. I did a lot of cooking for me and my friends. I was also dating Jade's dad at the time too, so I would go to his house and cook for all of his friends as well. So I did a lot of cooking. In a pinch, I ate ramen. The only thing I liked. Top ramen where you just add the hot water. Sorry, that's cup of noodle. Cup of noodle, but they're still ramen noodles, aren't they? Yeah. Cup of noodles. I didn't eat McDonald's. I didn't eat fast food. That was the only version of fast food that I ate. Otherwise, yeah, I pretty much cooked. But to me, making a plate of pasta is so easy that, like, it seems dumb not to, you know?
How did you meet Todd? And when did you meet Todd?
I met Todd when I was 19 years old. I was working for Raffi at the time. I met Todd through some friends. A really close friend, who's still my close friend from high school. Her name is Vanessa. She was dating a guy, and this guy's friend was Todd, Jade's father. And that's how I met him. And he was older. I was 19, he was 26. I remember my parents were like, he's too old. I'm like, he's in his 20s. I'm almost 20. Like, 7 years is not that big a deal. He was already out of college. He was already working. He was a clothing designer. He worked downtown for like a men's clothing company, and he was traveling. And I just felt like, oh my God, I'm dating an adult. We were together for 13 years before we got married. And then we were together another 10 years before we got divorced. So we were together about 23, 24 years.
Do you feel like that really shaped your college experience because he wasn't in college?
I was never in a sorority.
Did you ever consider?
Nope. I never considered being in a sorority. That was not, I just felt like I was older already. Like I don't know. It just wasn't for me. I did go to football games though. I did go to a lot of UCLA USC games and a lot of UCLA Stanford games. Those were my favorite. As for college parties, yeah, I did a few with some of my friends from college, but like not many. And I think it's because my college experience was so fragmented between Pepperdine, Santa Monica City. I was also working. I worked at Ann Taylor.
Did you ever get like wild at a college party? Did you ever do like a keg stand or a beer pong or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I got wild at parties, but they weren't necessarily college parties. They were usually parties with Todd's friends that were in their late 20s already. So I already moved past all of that. There were kegs. There was a lot of smoking weed, like all that stuff.
You graduated from UCLA. Are you still working at the Ivy? Like where are you at job-wise?
Job-wise at UCLA, I was still at Ann Taylor. No, the Ivy was when I was younger. And the Ivy was sort of like beginning of Todd, but really it was a little bit earlier than that because I had a boyfriend who was a waiter at the Ivy, which is why I started going and like working at the Ivy. And I did odd jobs for like my mom. My mom had a clothing business downtown, a manufacturing business. She made bodysuits when bodysuits were big. So I'd help her with production and getting orders out and shipping. So I'd go to school and then I'd go help her. So I did that kind of stuff. That's how I made money. Towards the end of college, I was like, I really am interested in food. I really want to cook for a living. So I'm going to try to go to cooking school. I enjoy school. I know that sounds weird. I just felt like the more schooling I had, the more successful I would become. That was the mentality, and I think that was the mentality for most people of that generation. So I applied to different schools, and I was like, tormented. I'm like, do I stay in the U.S.? Do I go abroad? Do I stay in the U.S.?
Right
Do I go
after
abroad?
graduating.
Yeah. I get into CIA. I get into Cordon Bleu in Paris. And I'm like, I'm going to Paris. Screw it. I'm going to speak French. I'm going to learn. I'm going to be the best pastry chef ever because I really want to be big. I love sugar. So I pack my bags. I say bye to Todd. I go to Paris and I'm on the plane and I'm just like bawling, thinking, who do I think I am that I think I can do this? You have to understand, I never left my family before. I've never left my family bubble, the LA bubble, and all of a sudden I was gonna go live like thousands and thousands of miles away.
Did you and Todd decide you were taking a break, or were you like
Nope.
together? Okay.
No, we were together. He would come visit, and then my sister came to visit, and then she did a movie there, so I had my sister there for a little bit. Paris was really hard. For the first like 6 months, it was really hard. I lost 10 pounds, and I'm already little.
Did you have a
I
roommate?
didn't have a roommate, so I first started living in a hotel. I figured out how to get an apartment, and I lived alone. I basically went to school 6 days a week,
Was it all in French?
all in French. I didn't speak French, so you could see why I was having such a hard time. And it was old school, like the French chefs were tough. And I didn't know a lot of the techniques because my extent of my cooking was like whatever I learned from my family. It wasn't deboning fish and deboning a whole chicken. Like I didn't know how to do that. So it was it was a giant learning curve. After 6 months, I really started to love it. After it was done, I wanted to go to hotel school in Switzerland, but my parents were like,
Was the program just a year?
it was a year and a half.
Did you travel at all while you were like in the program?
I did. I traveled to Italy to see family. I traveled to see my sister was doing a movie with my aunt in Croatia. Like, yeah, I traveled. It's so easy to travel when you're in Europe.
Were there any huge like hiccups during culinary school?
All the time.
What was the thing that you had the hardest time making?
I think that the things that were the hardest were actually pastries because we did a lot of sugar sculptures and things of that nature, which I'd never worked with that before. You basically are coloring sugar and they're under heat lamps and you have to mold them while they're hot. And a lot of times you're using your bare fingers, and even if you use gloves, thin gloves, it melts the glove. My skin would peel, lots of burns all over my arms. It was physically exhausting and kind of mentally because they were rough on us. If you didn't do it right, they would take like a wooden spoon, clock you, they'd throw sauces at you if they sucked. Like it wasn't what it is today. But I learned how to be in a restaurant environment. I learned how to toughen up. Sticking it out was the best thing I ever did. I wanted to come home bad.
So then you moved back to LA. How old are you at this point?
I graduated from culinary school when I was 26 in 1996. I was depressed. I didn't have a job for like 3 months. I couldn't get a job. People looked at me and they were like, it wasn't like it is today. Like they looked at a little white girl and they were like, what the hell are you doing? What are you talking about? You don't, what? No, we're not hiring you. You can't even lift a pot. That was always the thing. You can't lift anything. All these chefs, what are you gonna do? You can't lift anything. And I'm like, I can. Finally got a job at the Ritz-Carlton Marina Del Rey working for a French chef and where I got to practice my French techniques. Clean lobster, cases and cases of lobster. Actually, that's the Ritz-Carlton right there.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're making me do this because I think as you get older you forget the details of your life.
Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.